Hey, hi everybody. This is Apostle Paul and my host.
I'm Rose with Paul. You can call me with this.
Yes, and I want to welcome you today. We're going to have a very interesting discussion on rejection.
Yeah.
A lot of people are suffering because they have been rejected. A door has been slammed right on their face. They have just been told a painful no. Somebody has assumed them, ignored them, and treated them as if they are trash, and they are in pain. They don't know what to do. What would you want to say about rejection?
First of all, rejection is very painful, and unfortunately, it's something we all frequently face one way or another. And how to handle it, I think, is what really matters. How to handle rejection, how to make sure it does not get through to you is what really matters. But rejection is very painful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very real, I agree. Most of us have actually been rejected more than once. So you're listening to us tell us one of the most horrendous rejections you have been treated to. Have you been rejected in the family or workplace or in a relationship? Did you do an interview only to be told no and you are the most qualified? Perhaps nepotism took over and you were kicked out. How did you go about it? Let us know. But let's look at some of the causes. What causes rejection? Because that's there are 1,001 things that can cause somebody to be rejected. One of my favorite, not really favorite, but one of the clearest stories in the Bible about rejection is in Judges chapter 11 that speaks about a boy called Jephthah who was rejected soon after birth by the mother and was left in the hands of the father. And the father had to marry another woman so that she could help him bring up the boy. And in the meantime, she brought her own children. And by the time Jephthah is 15 years, he's kicked out of the house. And this time around, even the father was on the side of the stepmother and the other children of the woman, and he was kicked out and also not inherit anything. He was on his own. It's a very, very painful kind of rejection. So in other words, you can be rejected not because you are the problem, but because the people that are rejecting you, they are the problem.
Some people are so hard on themselves. Every time they get rejected and they think automatically that maybe there's something wrong with me, maybe I'm not qualified enough. So perhaps you can also first let us know if this is something you have faced in your life.
One of the things that I've faced as far as rejection is concerned is I schooled in an area where people are very big-bodied, and I was kind of small-bodied among them, and therefore I was in the pecking order. I was down there, and it really made me feel so small, so insignificant, and it made me to live a very shy kind of life, and filled with the trauma. And very quiet. I wasn't talking and so forth and so forth. And that thing followed me for many years until I met my late wife, Pastor Grace, who started reinforcing that I'm very okay, that my size is okay, and all that and all that. It is all painful. You can be rejected for anything.
Wow, that is sad to know. Because at such a young age, and you grow up, you then get to a point where now you disqualify yourself from opportunities because it has already been sort of ingrained inside of you that you do not qualify for any acceptance of any form. So opportunities present themselves to you on a silver platter, and automatically you find yourself talking yourself out of that opportunity, disqualifying yourself, not wanting to be the one that has the spotlight in the room. So rejection can go very deep with the hearts of people. And you've mentioned about rejection coming even from a point where you're a child now, like in the case of Jetta. Now, maybe we can discuss that and let us know the cure for that before getting into a different cause of rejection and its cure. So what happens when you get to a point and you understand what you're suffering from is a spirit of rejection that you were born with or into? I don't know which is it.
It's true. There are people who have actually a spirit of rejection that was injected in them before they were born. For example, if your mother got pregnant and the person rejected the pregnancy, and therefore the mother decided that you were a burden, but for one reason or the other, she still gave birth to you. Already the rejection spirit has followed you. And throughout your life, you'll be finding a lot of things working against you until a prayer is offered over your life so that you can begin to accept. There are others who've been rejected after birth or after being known that they are of the wrong sex. Maybe the mother, the father wanted a boy and that daughter was born, or a daughter was born, a son was born when they wanted a daughter. Again, that's an open door for rejection. And then some are also are born and they have a disability or a weakness. Maybe you were born and you are not bright in school. You are not understanding much in school, and therefore because of your academic level, you are rejected. Or some were born maybe too light skinned or too black. Or some were born fearfully, and while others were born wonderfully. You can be rejected because of your appearance and so forth and so forth. So all these things that you are born into or born with, the only way out is a prayer. It's a prayer that will remove that spirit. And then once that spirit leaves you, you'll now be taught how to accept yourself and begin to value yourself. Begin to love yourself, and especially if you can come to Jesus, He has a way of making you feel true love that surpasses any other kind of love. And that is why rejection, the only cure for rejection is acceptance. So I would say prayer will go a long way in helping that person who was born with or into.
I'm reminded of what's his name, Jabez.
Yes.
And he got to a point and made a prayer, oh Lord, expand the face of my territory. Maybe he finally understood why his life was the way it was, very painful, no progress, a lot of rejection. And he just made this one simple prayer that completely changed his life. So talking about prayer as a cure, I think that tops it all.
Yes.
So that is very powerful.
And talking of Jabez, how rejection came into him. The mother had what we call her labor. That elongated labor process that made the mother suffer so much. And finally, when she delivered, she decided to give him a name that will make her to remember that pain. In the meantime, a spirit also followed that name. And he realized that something is wrong, and he traced it back to what the mother went through. He decided to pray. So prayer is a very good answer.
So that was the very practical. So you find yourself, a lot of things are not working for you, so you discover it's a spiritual rejection and you pray about it.
Yes.
So what other cause of rejection is there that we should be aware of?
Those are the causes of rejection that follow after is like in relationship. somebody can just decide to just reject you. Like you went to classes together with somebody, your colleague, and they've moved on, they've gotten married, they have children. But as for you, you get engaged and the people jilt you or leave you alone. And so, like there's a pattern that follows you of being rejected by in every relationship and so forth and so forth. That is another area that I've met. I met a lady who had been in a relationship more than 7 times, and just a month or so between the last final month before the wedding, something happened and the person is rejected. And I remember following after, I realized there was an evil altar in their family that forbade marriage. So it was a thing that was in their ancestral land that did not allow marriage, but she did not know about it. So we prayed, and as we speak, she went ahead and she's married, she had children. But can you imagine being rejected 7 times? Definitely, you can self-doubt yourself.
Yeah. It's so easy to start with a problem. And I feel men fall victim more to this kind of rejection because you pursue a relationship, you get rejected every single time, many times even. And it gets to a point you start hating women. There's a word for that. I don't know, I can't remember what word it is, but there's a word for men who hate women. You become misogynistic because of how much you've been rejected. What's the cure for that kind of rejection?
First of all, I would like to say that men are not, we are not wired to take no kindly because of our masculine and ego thing and all that. We think that a woman should not have the courage to tell us no. And that is why telling a man no, they don't always take it kindly. And most of them will have to do something to show you that you cannot say no to them. And I remember this individual, he was told by the girlfriend that, hey, this is not working, and therefore I want a breakup. And the man threw a tantrum and said, no. There's no way you can break away from me. I have broken away from you. So,
it was easier for him to reject.
Exactly, than to be rejected. So men generally do not take no kindly. But I would like to tell men to manner and understand that life is not all about you. And actually, I think it is very, very bold and wise for anybody to say no to something that is not right, whether it's coming from the lady or from the man. So it is okay to accept no. As a matter of fact, one of the most important words everybody should know how to use is the word no. Because no could save your life. No could save your finances. It could save you a lot of wasted time. So I tell men, you don't have to hate women because you've been rejected. Just understand that especially the women that we have right now that are very educated, they know what they want. And if you cannot produce what they want, they will just, they're bold enough to say, no, this will not work. So men also have a challenge because men are not fully developed in as far as relationship with women are concerned. So they always fall below standard, below average, and they don't know. Because women are more relational, they know so much about relationship, but men, we are failing. So I would encourage a man, if they've been rejected several times, don't think that you should be accepted right away. Find out why have you been rejected. Other than the issue of money, I know many men have been rejected because they are not financially stable as the current women want. they want money. I had this Muslim Nasra, comedian, being asked a question that was very funny, and she was asked to choose between a man who has money and a man, and she said, "No, that's enough. This one, I've made my choice. This one who has money is good enough. Even if she doesn't love, she said, she'll take care of everything. She'll learn how to love."
Right.
Yeah, that's the nature that we have with the current women. They are so educated, they know what they want. It is men that need to know what they want. And that way, you don't have to be a misogynist, and you'll be able to appreciate everybody and be ready to accept no.
Yeah. And that's, I feel like it also comes from the workplace, because even if the workplace is it's also very relational.
Yeah.
So in the sense of a career, maybe there's a job you applied for, and you're told, unfortunately, you are not, we do not think you're qualified for this position. And if this happens to you 150 times, it's definitely going to make you question yourself, your intelligence, your knowledge. And unfortunately, this happens in the most educated people.
Yes.
So exactly what can such a person do? Because handling that kind of rejection that sort of stifles your progress is a different kind of thing.
Yeah, it is. But still, it hurts equally. I remember I was working as a chef in a 5-star hotel, making some good money, and then just one day, the hotel was brought down in Nairobi, and we were now to be taken to another hotel. I beg not to mention its name. It's a very big hotel right in the CBD of Nairobi, and we were to be transferred there. And now the person that was supposed to be enrolling us into the hotel was demanding for the ladies, he was demanding to have sex with them. And for the men, we were supposed to pay a certain amount. Now, me, with my faith and my principles, I didn't believe I needed to give money to get that job because I was already qualified. And I remember almost everybody followed exactly the things that were demanded. The ladies, they accepted. The men that we were working together, they paid the amount. It's only me. And, it is so hard because I knew after that I would take some time. And I remember I went through a very tough situation after that because an opportunity was denied because of a system. And we are in a society with very punitive systems that are torturing and making people hate themselves. Somebody has graduated, very qualified, and they are ready to take an underqualified person to take a place for you. And these things, they really, really hurt. It's a form of rejection. And I for me, what I did was I decided that I will still move on. I will not allow that rejection to stop me. Of course, that was the end of my hotel career. I decided to go a different direction. And finally, I was able to make it. So at times, you might be surprised that somebody rejected you and it hurt, but later you look behind and you realize it was good that somebody said no. You will remember later on.
I've seen a post online that says rejection is just redirection.
Wow, that's a good one. That's a good one. I like it.
Sometimes when you're told no, it's not because they don't know, it's because God in His own ways also trying to redirect you to what He knows is gonna suit you better. Even if it's a relationship, career, and God knows if you get a yes in this career, it's going to drift you away from the purpose for which He created you for. And so He just decides you're gonna keep getting the no's until He finally kind of self on the path that he really set for you before you were even born. So even thinking of rejection as redirection can probably help you overcome that rejection. And I feel like that is something I've personally done. Every single time I have been rejected for something that I really waited for, prayed for, believed for, I decided, you know what, I'm not going to remain here. I'm just going to take a different direction and see where that goes. And so far, so good. I can see it's been fruitful. And even this business, the Monaxos, my Airbnb in Nakuru, is a product of redirection. And I can say it has been so fulfilling getting it into this direction. And it would not have been possible if I would have gotten the acceptance that I wanted when I wanted it, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I think that's a very, very, very big thing, that treat rejection as redirection.
Yeah.
And I think if everybody was to do this, whether you were rejected in a relationship or a workplace or whatever, if you look at rejection as a redirection, definitely the pain would lessen. And you will begin to see many other opportunities that could be lying in wait for you to make that decision.
There's a kind of rejection under the category of self-rejection where you self-reject. Tell us, how does that come about? Because it's expected that you're going to be your number one cheerleader, your number one self-accepting, you know. So how does self-rejection come to play?
We have what we call preconditioning. For example, you will understand, for example, most adults, they use light skin. And it has been done for many years. They use the light skin and the slender petite. So we have been, the society as a result has been preconditioned that a light skinned like you are automatically free. If somebody is as black as I am, for a lady, it is a tall order. That person, I was talking to somebody last week who told me she did an interview for to be a news anchor in several TV stations. And one of the ones that she overqualified, they interviewed her about 4 to 7 times for the same, and every time the result would be the same. She is very good, but the problem is she's black, she's too dark skinned, and therefore they told her no. Can you imagine being denied an opportunity because of your color? And we did not choose. And these preconditions are the ones that have made somebody you met a few years ago more black than myself. The next time they are more light skinned than you are. It's because somebody is trying to fight the very reason they feel they are not beautiful enough or they are not really confident about themselves. I heard about another man of God who was giving a testimony how he suffered his own self-rejection, because for him, he believed to be a man, you need to be fully bearded. And no beard. And he really, he was suffering because he believed that if you don't have beard, then you're not man enough. And he would pray. He would apply anointing oil and say, oh God, as I wake up in the morning, let beards begin to grow. And it never worked. So after a long time of fasting and praying and applying things to provoke beards, the Lord told him, my grace is sufficient for you. And up to today, he does not have any beard. But it was a condition that really troubled him. So there are preconditions. The society has preconditioned that if you're a man, you've got to be muscular. If you're not light-skinned, you're not beautiful. if you don't have long hair, and so forth and so forth. There are some preconditions that have been handed over to us either by the media, especially the media, the movie stars, and the celebs. For example, the celebrities are in the top. They have shown us how to dress. And they think if you don't wear like that, they say you're outdated. But you are outdated in reference to who or to what? Exactly. Who decided that if you don't have tattoos, you are not man enough? Having said that, you need to self-love yourself as you are. Set your own standard. You don't have to fit in. Invite others to your standard. And that way, I liked one time I was listening to Dr. Pastor Paul Enenche, and he was being told that the way he puts a pen on the suit is outdated. And he said, it is my suit, it is my pen, I can put it where I want and don't be bothered about it. You know, I just like that, and it's important you just change how you look at yourself. There's this story that I've shared before about a couple that adopted a young girl, and they had one other girl, but they could not get another child after that. So this born child there one day told the adopted one that you even don't belong here because you are adopted. But the adopted kid said something I'll never forget. She told the one that was born in the house that, look, your parents had no choice about you. You were born here, but for me, I was selected among many others. So change your perspective about yourself and love yourself.
Wow. That is so powerful when you draw attention back to being self-aware, loving ourselves, understanding ourselves. And I'm reminded of the fact that if you are not invited to the table, you might as well create your own table. You know? You don't have to go join the cool kids. You can have your own table and make it the good table, you know. So that is a powerful thing that you have shared about self-love, self-awareness. And it takes a lot of work to work on yourself, because that is basically changing your mindset, changing your belief system. It's changing how you see yourself and seeing yourself through the eyes of God and not through the lenses of society. And unfortunately, it's a lot of work. It's hard work. I feel like most people give up midway, and they just decide to give in and give in to whatever works, you know. So if they want somebody that is taller, I've seen men going for surgery nowadays where they make taller, and you can see the process. Their bones are broken, and then is it iron or something? It put between the bones, and then they come out inches taller, and you wonder, I mean, who set the rule and said if you're not tall, then you're not man enough, you know? And this tall, dark, handsome thing, I mean, that was one person's preference that ended up becoming a doctrine. And you know, some of us out here like white skin, I mean light-skinned men, you know. But again, light-skinned men apparently are not smart enough because they're light-skinned, and light skin is meant for ladies only. And we just wonder, just who sat down and came up with this absurd, rules that we believe and took up so seriously, you know. So it's a lot of work.
A lot. And I think it needs to be restored. Soon we'll be having synthetic ladies and organic ladies. We have synthetic men and organic men, because like I was watching these reality shows about relationships, and the guy asked the lady who's kind of heavily endowed bounce, and he said, "Is this for you?" Like, is it real?
Like it just doesn't.
Yeah, because nowadays it's not known whether it is real or not.
Yeah.
And I think, as you're saying, we just got to deal with ourselves and love ourselves. One of the stories maybe I will draw to the close that I remember. During my A-levels, in the whole school, those days, receiving a success card that would wish you success was equivalent to like you are guaranteed you're going to succeed. I was the only kid who did not receive any success card from anybody. It was so painful and shameful at the same time, and especially when several of my colleagues, classmates, they offered to give me their own to share. To share their success cards. And I remember that moment. I told them, no, it's not too late. I know there are some that are going to come. And I was saying that because I wanted to go buy my own success cards. And I bought 4 of them. I put stamps and posted it so that it can be read at the school. That I also have people out there who are actually rooting for me. But guess what? I was my own cheerleader.
Cheer yourself on.
Exactly. So I want to tell anyone out there, you are banking so much on outside affirmation, begin to self-affirm, begin to self-love, begin to self-accept yourself. Because if you don't accept yourself, it will be very hard to tell us to accept you.
Yeah. Actually, that is so true, because sometimes people can sense that you have self-hate, self-rejection, you don't care about yourself, and unfortunately, they're going to give you back the same kind of energy. I don't know if you've ever met somebody that, in society's standards, do not qualify at all for any position or for any kind of appreciation, but just because this person really appreciates who they are, how they are, what they do, you find people going ahead and appreciating them as well. So if you want to be accepted, maybe the first person to accept you should be yourself.
Exactly.
You go ahead, appreciate yourself, and love yourself, take care of yourself, choose yourself, and eventually the same energy that you're giving to yourself, society is gonna give it back to you as well. Absolutely. And that is just so inspiring. There's been a conversation on social media about being delusional, and I feel like it may have cropped up from a point where people have gone through so much self-rejection until the solution for them is just to start being delusional. And apparently being delusional starts working because in a sense you start accepting yourself, loving yourself, and the world rewards you for that. Just because you got to a point and say, no, I'm going to be delusional and lie to myself that people love me and opportunities are coming my way. But in you sort of doing that, opportunities actually do come your way. And in the end, it's a win-win. So instead of probably working on being delusional, how about you go for the real thing where you love yourself, take care of yourself, and go through the journey of self-discovery and being aware of who you are, your value, and what you bring to the table, you know. Yeah, so that's an amazing tool for self-rejection.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. We can talk about this over and again. And I believe that some of you have gone through rejection, you have overcome, you have accepted yourself, perhaps you have helped somebody else. Share with us. Share with us those comments. If you've got any questions, DM us and all that.
Yeah.
You can reach me on Apostle Paul Njoroge, all social media platforms.
And for me, it's Rosita Paul on all platforms as well. Yeah, so go ahead, send us that DM, or you could just drop a comment. Let us know if you've dealt with rejection and how you overcame it, and many more different kinds of rejection, because I'm sure we've not covered everything that there is. Yeah.
All right. Thank you then. Let's meet next week. Same place, same time, and have a blessed time.
Thank you so much.